The Shrinking Season 2 soundtrack contains a wide range of songs that tie into the themes and plot twists of the Apple TV Plus comedy series. Shrinking Season 2's story sees therapist Jimmy Laird, Jason Segel, continuing an unorthodox approach to how he helps his patients while also continuing to grieve the death of his wife, Tia Leland Bowden. Jimmy's approach is challenged by his mentor, Dr. Paul Rhodes, Harrison Ford, who insists on establishing boundaries between therapists and their patients. After the Shrinking Season 1 ending, which saw Jimmy's patient, Grace, Heidi Gardner, push her emotionally abusive boyfriend off a cliff, both she and Jimmy must grapple with the fallout of her actions. Meanwhile, Jimmy and Paul's colleague, Gabby, Jessica Williams, has to balance being a therapist alongside her new teaching job, along with deciding what to do about her relationship with Jimmy. The songs in each of Shrinking's episodes elevate the various storylines and challenges that the characters face in Season 2. Shrinking Season 1, Episode 1 songs. Jimmy. Born Under a Sun by Albert King, Shrinking Season 2, Episode 1's first song can be heard when Paul and his girlfriend, Dr. Julie Barham, Wendy Malick, are seen dancing to it. They are interrupted by Gabby, who picks up Paul every morning to drive him to work. She is ecstatic to see the private and gruff Paul enjoying an intimate dance with his girlfriend, leading Gabby to take pictures of the dance so she can forever immortalize this memory. Your Love by the Outfield. Your Love can briefly be heard when Gabby is driving Paul to work. As she asks him increasingly personal questions about his relationship with Julie, including whether they are going to get married, Paul tries to distract from the conversation by turning on the radio and singing along to Your Love. While Gabby usually enjoys singing along with Paul during their morning car rides, she quickly turns the radio off this time, as she is more interested in discussing his relationship with Julie. Hollow Heart by C. James. Toward the end of the episode, the song Hollow Heart plays when Paul goes to Julie's house and admits that he loves her, a difficult thing to admit for a man who usually does not allow himself to be emotionally vulnerable around others, even around his loved ones. The song continues when Jimmy comes home and discusses with Sean, Luke Tenney, how Paul will be his therapist now, with Paul helping Jimmy realize that this is what is best for Sean. Looking Too Closely by Fink, the final song that plays into the credits of Shrinking Season 2's first episode is Looking Too Closely. The song begins as Sean begins his first session with Paul, which is a significant, but important change in his therapy. The music continues as Jimmy walks into the waiting room and is both shocked and angered to see Louis, Brett Goldstein, who was the drunk driver involved in the accident that killed Tia. Shrinking Season 2, Episode 2 songs. I Love Pain. Never Been Better by Ben Abraham. Never Been Better begins to play when Jimmy throws his car keys toward his daughter, Alice, Lukita Maxwell, and films it so he can turn the moment into a sentimental father-daughter video. The song continues to be heard when Paul goes to meet a former patient, Raymond, Neil Flynn, at a bar, a surprising and momentous sign of Paul blurring some of the boundaries he insists on maintaining between his personal and professional lives. Never Been Better continues to reflect the character's attitudes as Sean returns home in a good mood after working through his feelings with Paul. Cope by aka Lisa. Cope helps reveal where Alice took the car and that she is struggling more with news of Louis' visit than she let on to Jimmy. Alice sits on top of her father's car after parking it outside of Louis' house. She peers into the window at the man involved in the death of her mother, a man she holds responsible for the devastating loss she has endured, and whose presence now troubles her, a potentially significant moment of foreshadowing for the rest of Shrinking Season 2. Shrinking Season 2, Episode 3 songs. Psychological Somethingism. Seasons by BB Rexha and Dolly Parton. Seasons plays on the radio in Jimmy's car when Alice drops off her best friend, Summer, Rachel Stubington, at home. Alice's mind is elsewhere as she dwells on a memory shown via flashback of her mother dropping her off at soccer practice and proudly yelling about how much she loves her daughter. The song revolves around struggling with change and the passing of time, both of which Alice is struggling with in the aftermath of her mother's death. These challenges are further heightened as she tries to figure out what she is going to do about Louis. Letting Go by Angie McMahon. Shrinking's cast of characters let go of the things holding them back, beginning with Grace realizing she can forgive herself as she and her sister drive away in a moving van. Paul attends an appointment with his new neurologist alongside Julie, allowing himself to be vulnerable around his girlfriend. Jimmy then goes over to Brian's, Michael Urie, for dinner, and they start a new weekly tradition as they let go of the resentment that led to their fight earlier in the Shrinking episode. The song also plays as Alice lets go for the wrong reasons and kisses Connor, Gavin Lewis.